and welcome back to Electric Bike Mark. On this video, we're going to talk about the e-bike Cold War and how brands are beating the 2026-27 crackdown. And it's funny that we're doing a video today on e-bike Cold War, and it sounds like there's a war going outside as we're having some thunderstorm activity and hopefully no more tornadoes. We did have a tornado warning earlier today, but that's subsided. So now I thought it would be a good time to get this video in. So here we go. So we are standing at a massive crossroads in the industry. For years, the e-bike world was the Wild West. You could buy an e-bike online, put it together in your garage, and suddenly you had a machine that could outrun a moped without a license, without insurance, and without a plate. But the hammer is coming down. Between 2026 and 2027, new laws in the US and the EU are designed to do one thing: kill the outlaw e-bike. We're talking about SB 1271 in California, New Jersey's registration pushes, and the EU's strict new battery passports. But here's the twist. E-bike companies aren't backing down. While regulators are building walls, manufacturers are building ladders. Today we're looking at the secret ways companies are pushing the limits, the loopholes they are using, and why 2027 might be the most chaotic year in the e-bike history. So the core of the conflict is the 750 watt limit. In the eyes of the law, if it's more than 750 watts, it's a motorcycle. But have you ever noticed how a 750 watt bike from a budget brand feels twice as fast as a 750 watt from a big brand name? That's because companies are playing with peak power versus nominal power. We're going to dive into how they use these technicalities to put motorcycle grade power into your hands while technically staying legal for now. Let's talk about the off-road loophole. This is the primary way companies like Talaria and Saron and even some fat tire brands are defying the upcoming 2026 restrictions. They sell you a bike that is physically capable of 50 miles per hour, but it ships with a wire-connected or a software lock that keeps it at 20. By doing this, they can legally import the bike as a Class 2 or Class 3 vehicle. But they know, and we know, that the first thing the owner is going to do is clip that wire or enter a secret code in the app. However, the 2026 laws are getting smarter. California's new legislation now targets the manufacturers of these unlocking tools. By 2027, it won't just be illegal to ride an unlocked bike. It will be illegal for a company to provide the hidden software that allows it. So how are they fighting back? They are moving toward modular systems. I've seen prototypes where the high-speed controller is sold separately as an upgrade kit. By separating the power from the frame, they claim they aren't selling an illegal bike. They're selling a legal bike with an optional racing part. It's a bold middle finger to the regulators, and it's creating a massive gray market. Now let's look at 2027. This is the year of the battery passport. The European Union is leading the charge here, but because the e-bike market is global, this will hit North America just as hard. Starting in February 2027, every e-bike battery must have a digital twin, a QR code that tracks everything from where the lithium was mined to its safety certifications. This is a direct attack on the cheap, fast market. Those $800 bikes that go 35 miles per hour, they can't afford this level of compliance. But the big companies are using this as a weapon. Brands like Specialized and Trek are actually lobbying for these laws. Why? Because they want to price the limit pushers out of the market. If you have to spend $500 just to certify a battery, you can't sell a bike for $900 anymore. But the limit pushers are pivoting. Instead of cheaper batteries, they are moving towards solid state and LFP technologies. They are trying to innovate so fast that by the time the 2027 laws are fully active, the tech they are regulating is already obsolete. It's a game of cat and mouse where the mouse has a jetpack. Here's the reality. Laws are only as good as their enforcement. Even if 2026 brings strict labeling laws, how is a beat cop supposed to know if the motor has been rewound or if your controller is pushing 3,000 watts instead of 750? We are seeing a trend where companies are making motors look smaller but perform better. We call it stealth power. High torque mid-drives that are hidden behind the crankset, looking like a standard pedal bike but capable of climbing a 40-degree grade without a sweat. The defiance here is cultural. These companies know that the public wants power. People are using e-bikes to replace cars, and you can't replace a car with a bike that dies on a hill. So the manufacturers are betting on the fact that the genie is out of the bottle. They are continuing to push the limits because they believe that if enough people ride high-powered bikes, the laws will eventually have to change to accommodate the new mobility rather than trying to ban it. So, will they continue to push the limits? Absolutely. But the Wild West is definitely being fenced in. In 2026, you're going to see a lot of your favorite budget fast brands disappear because they can't meet the UL safety standards. By 2027, the bikes that remain will be smart, they will be fast, they will be likely have a GPS fencing where the bike automatically slows down when it enters a city park but lets you rip on a private trail. Here's something no one is talking about. The 2027 resale crisis. If you buy a non-compliant, limit-pushing bike today, you might be stuck with it forever. E-bikes already depreciate by 30 to 50% in their first year. But starting in 2026, that drop will be even steeper for bikes without UL certification or proper 750 watt labeling. As states like New Jersey and California move toward mandatory registration and insurance, the first thing a used bike buyer is going to ask is this legal to register? If your bike doesn't have the 2026 compliant safety stamps, it becomes a zombie bike, unsellable, and major platforms and liability to ride. We are seeing a massive shift where premium compliant brands like Trek and Specialized are holding their value, while the gray area speedsters are crashing in price. If you're treating your e-bike as an investment or a commuter tool, you might one day upgrade. The off-road defiance of these companies could cost you thousands in resale value. So what do you actually do? Here's your 2026 survival guide. Check for the stamp. Before you buy, ensure the motor is stamped at 750 watt, even if it peaks higher. That stamp is your legal shield. Verify UL 2849. This isn't just about safety anymore, it's about legality. In many cities, non-UL bikes are being banned from apartments and public transit. Watch the 15-year rule. New laws, especially in New Jersey, are banning anyone under 15 from riding any e-bike. If you're buying for a teenager, check your local age restrictions before you spend $2,000. Insurance is coming. Even if your state doesn't require it yet, look into e-bike specific insurance. Many homeowners policies are not excluding e-bikes because they classify them as motor vehicles. That's the deep dive for today. The 2026 and 2027 shifts are going to be wild. but I'll be here to walk you through every one of them. What do you think? Are these companies being brave or just reckless? Drop a comment below and let me know your thoughts on this, and we'll keep you updated. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and keep in touch, because we'll be keeping our eye on this. Unfortunately, this is the way it's going. I know people want to hear good news. Sometimes we have good news. It seems like the majority of the time lately we have not so good news. This one is just kind of like it's there. It's happening, and it's all around us. It's like it's closing in on us, and we'll see where it goes. I hope we get to some stabilization and maybe make this more of a nationwide situation as opposed to state, because it's all over the place. You know, one state wants to do this, another state wants to do that. If we kind of make it something that's palatable for everybody, that would be great. But I guess you're never going to please everyone. You know, you're always going to have someone upset with something. Nobody, you know, that's just the way society is, right? We don't, if we all like the same stuff, then it would be a pretty dry and boring world. So anyway, let me know your thoughts on this for sure. Drop a comment below. So that's going to do it for this video today on Electric Bike Mark. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, thank you very much. Just hit that subscribe button. If you want to be notified as to when the next video comes up on the channel, just hit that notification bell. And if you want to leave a comment, as I mentioned, on this video or any others that you've seen on the channel, go ahead and leave that in the comments below. Again, thank you for joining me today on this video. And until next time, be safe, everyone, and keep your wheels on the road. See you later.